How you doing? I'm Casey. I'm an alcoholic. I was thinking about what I want to say about this guy, and I don't know. I've known him for about 13 months. We've gone through some ups and downs together. He took some hits in this past year that I don't know that I would have bounced back from. But he stayed strong working this program. He's got a great story, man. It's one of my good friends. Give it up for Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter alcoholic. Hunter! This is crazy. I just got out of jail on Wednesday. I'm honored to be here. I appreciate you guys. I'll say a little something about the two of you guys. I was one of those roommates who didn't make it out of the 5. Thanks, Chad. But he's got a very distinguished sense of humor. Very sarcastic. But the one thing about Heath of being his friend, I was there with him and Casey pretty much the whole time, is he's consistent and he stays out of the way of a lot of stuff that catches a lot of people up. And I love you, bro, and I'm proud of you, and it's awesome that you're here and staying here. And I can't wait to have more times with you. Casey, there's a saying in the recovery community and rehab kind of community that, like, you say, like, hey, that guy ain't gonna make it. When they're in the room, you're like, that guy ain't gonna make it. Like, when I saw over the year of knowing Casey, I'm like, that guy's gonna make it. Like, when you see Casey, I'm like, that dude's gonna make it. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Casey. He's like you said, like, he works, everything he does 100%. I'll tell a quick story and then I'll tell my story. We were about 7 months into the program. Casey's at like 5.5, and we at the Hale House, if someone has a car, you have to have 6 months before you can ride with them. And every opportunity I got, I'd ride. If I had 4 months, I was getting in the car. If I had 5 months, I was getting in the car. And we all had a friend group, and we were getting in the car. I'm like, Casey, come on. He's like, you got 5.5 months. No one's counting. Billy's not there. And he's like, yeah, but his integrity wouldn't let him do it. Like, he would not do it, even though no one in the world would know that he would get in that car. He wouldn't get in there like 2 weeks early, and that's the type of dude Casey is. And I'm super proud of you, man. It's awesome for you to be here. Super nervous. But like I said, I'm going to tell you what happened, or what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. My first memories of alcohol came from me hating it. My dad, as soon as he touched his lips, you knew, like, hide. Because when he started drinking, something was going to go down. There was going to be an argument. He was going to be manic. There was going to be something that's going on. And I hated it. I can remember being a little boy taking, there'd be beer bottles everywhere. In the laundry room, downstairs with the Christmas stuff, and you'd find liquor bottles. And I would just take them and I'd just slam them against the wall. Because I hated alcohol. I hated what it did to my family. How once he started drinking, something was going to happen. And so that's my earliest memories of alcohol. But other than that, I grew up in like a white picket fence type family. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a paramedic. I had all my needs met. But I can remember something missing internally from an early point in my life. And I just constantly needed validation and affirmations and attention. And I would do anything to get that. I just wanted community and I wanted love. And so when my dad left when I was probably 12 or 13, I found it very quickly. My first experience drinking alcohol, I was on a cruise ship and I was lying about my age with these older kids, and I had a Long Island iced tea, and I can remember drinking it on the cruise ship, and I walked around for the next 30 minutes with my headphones in, and I was like, this is it. Like, I have found what I've been missing. I was like, I feel amazing. I can talk to anybody. I don't feel insecure. And so I went back, and there was a guy in there who just got out of prison, and he bought all of us underage kids a handle of vodka, and I drank it like it was water. I had no idea what it would do to me. I just knew I liked how it made me feel. And the next thing I know, I had forgotten that my mom told me to meet her at 11 to check on me. And when on this boat, I walked right past her. I was so drunk. And my stepdad picks me up over his shoulder and he takes me into the cruise ship room, and I wake up at 2 a.m. and projectile vomit all over the floor for a few hours. First night on the cruise ship, they're going to have an interesting week. That's what my first experiences was like. And I woke up the next day, and I hated the way I felt, but I knew I wanted to feel the way I did when I drank that first one again. I knew that, and I was willing, I felt like I had found what I was destined to do. Like that was what I wanted to chase until I died. And so over my teenage years, like that's all I wanted to do. I was smart. I didn't struggle in school. But that's all I ever thought about was like, when am I going to get out of school so I can smoke? There are drugs in my story. It's going to be hard for me not to talk about them. But when can I smoke? When can I drink? And I always drank alcoholically. I always did everything that I got my hands on to the fullest extent. I had a friend tell his dad, who told my mom, she's like, something about hanging out with Hunter. Like there's just something about it. Like we all drink on the weekends and do it, but when I get around him, I can't help but drink. I can't help but do something, because that's all he wants to do. And so that is what I did constantly. And it led to me getting arrested and getting in trouble. And my mom, who is a God-fearing, my mom's a saint in my eyes. I love her to absolute. I love her more than anything in this world. And she always was super afraid of me, ended up just like my dad. So at 16, after getting arrested and getting into some trouble, she yanked me out of school and sent me to a military behavioral type rehab at 16. It was called Teen Challenge. I did it for a year. And even while I was in there, my dad comes and picks me up for a weekend pass. I know where his Percocets are in his backpack, and I'm finding a way to do it because that's all I wanted to do. I didn't care about the consequences. I didn't think that far ahead. I just knew that I wanted to get high right now, drunk or whatever. And so I get out of that program. My life has been consumed. I think Turtle said it best one time. My entire life was me living in the shadow of my potential. Like everyone felt like they could see my potential, but I always was underwhelmed. I wasn't meeting anybody's expectations of my life. Which was just, I don't think anybody had any unrealistic expectations. Just that I'd be a positive member of society, productive, and I wasn't that, And I ended up getting out of that program, and within a month, I got an underage drinking charge, and I was like, holy shit, man. Like, I just missed my senior year of high school. I missed all my friends. When I got back home, everybody had kind of like moved on. They're teenagers. They're like, who's Hunter? What is that? Like, we were best friends a year ago. I'm like, yeah, whatever. They moved on, and so I was like, how do I get arrested almost immediately out of here? And so I'm like, what's going to solve that? I was like, I'm going to chase a girl, and I'm going to go to ministry school. Because this was a Christian program that I had went to for a year, and I said, this is what's going to get me right, Really, the girl's going to get me right. The Christian part is just a program. And so I get there, and I noticed almost immediately this like the, two wolves on your shoulder type thing, like the devil and the angel. Like I'd come in and I'd hear all these things and I'd see all these people and they just looked happy. And I was like, man, I want that. And then I'd go back home on the weekends and get annihilated. And then I'd come back and I'd repent and I'd be like, Lord, like I gotta stop. Like, this is weird. Like, I'm in ministry school. They're training me to be a preacher or whatever. And like, all I can think about is this like internal battle to do both. And finally that girl dumped me because of that. And I said, that was like the tipping point of my story. Was like, all right, like I'm brokenhearted. I know, the biggest thing I just came up here to speak tonight. I didn't know what I was going to say, but the one thing that I thought about saying, and this is what's been true, this is what's kept me sober this time. And that's finally realizing that drugs and alcohol weren't the problem. Like that was the solution to my problem. I was the problem. I am, without alcohol and drugs, egotistical, selfish, insecure, fearful. I'm all of those things. And so the quickest and easiest solution to those things is an instant gratifying substance that you can find at a store, you can find it with a drug dealer, whatever. And I knew immediately I didn't want to feel pain. Like, I did not want to feel the pain of that heartbreak. And so I went as hard as I could for very quickly, I transitioned very fast from ministry school to heroin addiction. You know, it was a switch up really quickly. I was scared of everything and everybody. I either was better than you, I was, you know, an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. I was either better than you or I was worse than you. I compared myself to everybody in the room. And so it was not long, so I was afraid of everything and everybody, but I wasn't afraid of drugs and alcohol. I was not afraid of consequences. You could not fear drive me to not do something. You couldn't ground me or arrest me. I might, while I'm locked up, say some stuff like, man, I'm going to get right when I get out, you know? But like immediately when I hit out those doors, it was like, man, that guy was a little bitch. Like, let's, you know, like, let's get faded. And that was almost, that was almost immediate. And so I did that over and over again. And so I find myself, I'm 20 years old, addicted to heroin. And I'm like, dang, like, how did this happen? Like, it started out so casual. I mean, I always did it more than my friends, but I wouldn't consider myself an addict. I felt, for a while, I was like a martyr to being an addict and alcoholic. It was kind of cool. Like, there's Hunter, he drinks too much, you know? It was like, yeah. But like, at that point, when I'm 20, I'm like, dude, I'm a junkie. I'm like, dude, I can't do this without getting sick. I'm like, this is not cool. Like, this is not good. And so I approached my parents. I'm like, I've gotten fired from jobs over and over again. I had a job at the post office. I'm making really good money. It's a 12-hour shift there. I run out of dope before the shift's over. I'm like, man, I gotta quit. I'm like, dude, this is the best job I've ever had. And I'm like, I gotta quit. Like, I gotta get out of here immediately. She's like, you can go to rehab, you just gotta wait 2 weeks. I'm like, I can't wait 2 weeks. I gotta go now. I walk out the door. I'm like, I gotta go. And I finally told my parents, I'm like, I gotta go to rehab. And this is kind of, I'll try to hurry this up a little bit. This is when my story kind of like took off. So I'm in treatment and I get there and it's this 30-day place. It's luxurious, you know, it's insurance-based. I'm like, man, sweet. Co-ed, everybody's just a chef. I'm like, man, this is nice. And the first week we get to it, I'm like, man, I want to get sober. I want to go to all the AA meetings, all the classes. And I see these coming in and out of people, fresh out of rehab. I'm like, dude, are you serious? These junkies, like, why would they come here multiple times? They come to rehab multiple times. Like, they just don't take it serious. About 15 days into the program, I'm like, yeah, gift of desperation's gone. I'm not dope sick anymore. And I'm going to get high again. So I decided that 15 days deep. And I immediately got high the day I got out. And got arrested, whatever. I mean, it's the same things. We all know the story. I mean, everyone's different. But over the next 3 years, I was in and out of 26 different treatment centers. I went to every different treatment center in the city of Atlanta, every sober living. It was all insurance-based. I would have no money. I had an insurance card. So I'd get high. The worst consequences, sending me to detox for 7 days. I'd get out. I'd go back into sober living. I'd get strung out. I'd be like, man, I don't want to do this again. Go into detox. Go into sober living. And I did that over and over and over and over again and pushed everybody in my life away from me. I was known, when I would come into treatment, people would go, there's an over-under on that guy. I had a guy who was like, man, there's an over-under on Hunter. How long is he going to be here? 30 days? They're like, nah, under. You know, over. He ain't going to be here 30 days, I can tell you that. And so that's what it was for me for 3 years. In and out. I mean, I flew to Los Angeles to get paid for my insurance. I'm in the hotel with 70 addicts from across the country doing fentanyl, watching people overdose, and that's just what we did. That was the life. Like that was who I had become. I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't scared of it. I mean, it was 70 addicts, all under the age of 26, with their insurance, in these hotels, away from their families, just dying, trying to get paid for their insurance. And with no one caring about that they're alcoholics and addicts, and it was sad, you know, and but it was our decisions, right? It was our life, and I did that over and over again, and like I said, 26 treatment centers, but like everyone in here knows it's relapsed before. I'd have that desperation point. I'd get strung out, and I'd lose again. I'd be track marks up and down my arms, and I'd be like, man, this sucks. Like, no one wants to be around me. Nobody trusts me with their wallet. Nobody. I have nobody. I'm so alone. I feel alone. I hate myself. But as soon as things started to get a little better, it was like, man, I'm out of here. Like, I'm getting high again. I obsessed about it. The obsession wasn't lifted. And that's what I did. So I end up doing that again. My mom's fed up and tired, and I've tried everything in the book. I've tried all the maintenance drugs. I've tried Suboxone. I've tried methadone. I've tried everything, but I still think that if I can just separate myself from drugs and alcohol, that I can get sober, and that's just not the truth, because it's me. Like, once that obsession hit my head, it didn't matter if I was in treatment. It didn't matter if my mom was right there. I was going to get high. I did not care the consequences. There was no emotional appeal. You couldn't throw my son, I have a 5-year-old son, you couldn't throw him in my face. You could not scare me to get sober, because I wanted to get high, and that's the only thing that mattered. It was it. There was no thought process to it or discussion about it. It was, I wanted to get high because I was a broken man, extremely just trapped in selfishness. And what happened, I'll get to what happened and what it's like now. So what happened was, I'm on methadone. This is my last day. I always like to talk about this. I'm on methadone. I'm in a meth psychosis. I'm living in a condemned house. Where it smelled, it just smelled. I don't even know how to describe the smell of that house. And I'm laying on a couch today, and all I could want to do, I didn't want to get high, I just wanted to sleep. Because my life was so bad, I just wanted to sleep. I just wanted to get so high that I would nod out and sleep. Because that's what my life had become. And I'm in this psychosis, and I go up to Atlanta, I'm in the Bluff, and with these 2 guys I don't know, they just give me a ride up there, and I do a shot and I overdose. And the next thing I know, they wake me up in the hospital. I've got 4 Narcans, 3 Narcan drips. My wallet and phone have been stolen out of my thing, and I'm in this hospital, and I got vomit running down my shirt. And I'm like, man, she tells me what's happened. She's like, you've been John Doe for 12 hours. We didn't know who you were. And I'm like, call my mama. I'm like, just please call my mama. And she's like, they're like, you want to call? I'm like, nah, y'all call her. And it was probably the biggest moment I still think about this day, man. And she comes back in there with this look on her face, and she goes, yeah. She goes, she hopes you do okay, but she can't come see you. She's tired of this, and she can't for herself do this anymore. So I was alone in there with no phone, and I just wanted to die. I wasn't suicidal. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was just alone. And my dad went to a mental health facility. I detoxed off methadone, and my parents found the Hale House, and I come to the Hale House May 4th, 2021, and it's really where things just really began to change for me, and I was able to really own my shit. I was able to get uncomfortable and be around people and still have all those parts of me that are just nasty and sick, and have people love me anyway and push me anyway and make me go to work at a job I don't want to work and do things I didn't want to do constantly. But it wasn't about my money. It wasn't about anything other than people that wanted to see me get sober and have a different life. It was the first time I'd ever had that experience, because everything before was based on my insurance. If I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, you good. You can stay here a few more months. But there it was like, man, you want to act a fool, you can get out of here. But if you want to get sober, you can stay here. And since then, my life's been up and down. I have screwed up and screwed up and screwed up. I got kicked out of the Hale House at 9 months for a girl. My stepbrother died while I was in the foundation. I could go on and on about my mess ups and screw ups still, but the one thing that I've done is haven't picked up a drink, and I've surrounded myself around people who genuinely love me and tell me how it is. Sam Harris, when I got kicked out of the foundation, was the first person. He picked me up and he said, man, you can stay here tonight. You're staying in this community. We're not letting you go, man. And that's what I've done. It was so uncomfortable to come to these meetings. After that, this is my home group, and I stayed here, and I kept coming, and I get to see my friends and people that I love in here, and And it's just to see what addiction has done to my life. I mean, you see over 26 rehabs, the amount of people that I've seen that have overdosed and died is astronomical. I mean, it's on Facebook, the amount of treatments I've been to, it's every other week. There's someone that's passed away. Rest in peace. Someone's passed away from addiction. And somehow still we can romanticize drug use, right? Because it's an escape. It's an escape for me, even with the threat that it does to my life. It's an escape to me, to my head. And it takes work to get through that. It takes work with a sponsor and working these steps and being honest and not looking at how the world's damaged you and how you're not a victim. Like that it's you. Not that you haven't had hurt or had trauma, but that I don't have to be a prodigy of being victimized. Like I'm not a result of those things anymore. I don't have to be. I can be different. I can choose different. And so that's what my life has looked like. It's been going to meetings, staying connected with friends, going to work, and it's not up and down like addiction was, where I'm high, I'm blasted off, I'm nodding out, and then I'm without dope sick. And then I'm high again, I got some money, and then I'm sick again, and I've cut everybody off. My mom doesn't want to talk to me again. And then that's not what my life looks like anymore. It's just steady. It's just steady. And I have meaningful relationships today. And I just went to jail. I got a call on Tuesday of last week. I called my probation officer. I said, hey, I'm off felony probation this month. And she's like, yeah, you got a warrant for your arrest. I was like, what? And I was like, man, God, are you kidding me? And I had a sponsor. People were like, man, you got to face it. Go do it, Went into court. I'm like, man, I'm going to be good. Like, he's going to hear my story, the emotional appeal. He's like, no, dude. And he's like, he didn't even read the letter, He marked an X. He's like, probation violation felony? Yep. You're sentenced to prison for the rest of your probation. And I had to sit in jail this past week thinking that I might have to go to prison for this amount of time. I might be waiting on the rejection letter for the Department of Corrections. But as manic as I was, as stressed out as I was, like, it's just so much better, man. It's just, I just don't want to live like that anymore. It's miserable, it really is just absolutely miserable living that lifestyle and having to push everybody away that loves you and is up at night worrying about if you're strung out, worrying if you're going to die. My mom used to check my pulse in my bed whenever I'd stay there because she didn't know if I was dead. Having friends today and people that I can count on and rely on, and there's no angle at their friendship. Having a relationship with God, going to jail and getting gratitude from people that have been to prison 6 years, and they're like, man, the only thing I have today, peace. Being in prison for 7 years is God. I'm like, shit, man, I'm freaking out for like 18 days. And they're like, man, just God. And just pointing me in the direction, man, like it really is all God. By the grace of God am I standing here, not strung out. And as I close, I'm just super grateful to be here. I'm grateful for this home group. I'm grateful for everybody in this room. I'm grateful for you guys. Like I said, y'all were part of my experience at the Hill House. I wouldn't be here without either of you. That's all I got. So,